Hello everybody, I'm Rhinociart, and today I'm doing a quick drawing, I say a quick drawing, but it took me like 4 hours, of She-Ra and Catra from She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, a Netflix show that I just recently binged. So I guess spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched it yet, because I'm defo talking about things that are in the end of the series. So I'm a little bit too young to have watched the 80s version, and I'm a little bit late to the bandwagon on watching this one, but B and I basically sat down and watched it within 3 days over a weekend, because once we started, it was too good to stop. It's exactly as campy as you would expect a remake of an 80s children's show to be, but it's extremely inclusive and has just so much queer culture. I mean, Noelle Stevenson is the creator of it, so I don't know what I expected otherwise, but wow, it's so thrilling to see this stuff in cartoons. This is so new. Anyway, there's also a delicious plot that gets more complex over time, and even though there's some plot holes in the meta or just stuff that wasn't explained, it goes from fantasy series to space opera, so your boy's living. Anyway, so because I'm a giant queer disaster and my heart is rainbows after watching this series, I decided I wanted to draw some of the characters. I've been really inspired by Rad City's art, especially this one here with the kind of rainbowy, spacey background and this stoic sort of energy between the characters, but I wanted something that looked a little more cheerful. I was a big fan of how in the show She-Ra was exceptionally big, and how whenever Catra was flopping around in places, she just looked so fluid. They had a really beautiful way of animating her. Also, I super dig the later season version of She-Ra, where she's super elegant and twice as buff and tall. Listen, I'm gay, don't at me. It's beautiful. Anyway, I had all these things in mind when I went into drawing this, so getting the sketch down wasn't as hard as I expected it to be, because normally I have some kind of idea what I'm going to draw. This one I was like, I don't know, I guess we'll find out. So you can tell that the initial skeleton of the thing was a little bit messier, whereas now I'm kind of figuring out what I'm doing. Also, this drawing was extremely fortunate for me because I discovered two things. One, I found the ink pen tool, which gives me these nice smooth lines, and is considerably less blobby than the one that I used for the Narby and Color Brimboard drawing. And after 16 years of doing art, your boy finally figured out how to change the DPI on a drawing. I have been drawing things at 72 DPI my entire life. This is the first thing I've ever done at 300, and look how nicely grained it is. Look how much detail you can see. Oh my god. With my new inking tool in hand, I didn't have too much trouble doing the line art for this. I got caught up a little bit with the top of Catra's hair, and also the hilt of the sword I had to change the size of halfway through, which was a pain in the butt because I'd already put some of the color on. So I would definitely suggest, when you're doing your line art, every once in a while zooming out your canvas and keeping an eye on that top corner little tiny version of the image. That'll give you a good idea of what it looks like from afar and will help you pick out any mistakes like that before you're too far into the creation of the thing. I'm kind of still low-key obsessed with cell shading, so that's what I figured I'd do for this.
Except for some little blushy around the nose and the cheeks because I can't help myself.
And even though shading like this is a lot faster than what I was doing before, generally speaking, do you all have some tips for me? Because I feel like I messed up so much. There was so much coloring outside of the lines, and I had to do so much little fiddly cleanup stuff that really slowed me down. I think I could have probably done this drawing in like 2 hours, but it took me twice that because I kept finding little spots that I had to keep cleaning up. So if anybody has some tips for avoiding that trouble, I am all ears. As per usual, I did a lot of playing around with shade and luminosity layers to give the image some depth, and I would recommend when you're going to do this using colors that are contrastive to the image. So when I initially drew this, it was a lot of like reds and golds, so I went with more blues and purples. And while the adjustment rave party is going on, let me just say, if you're a fan of like hurt comfort or found family or like enemies or idiots to lovers or friends to lovers, whatever, if you're into any of these tropes, my boys, this is the show for you. Besides those little meta issues that have kept B and I up at night, what is an angel in this world? Is there a god? Has your mom been released into the void of space? The plot was handled well, the character development was beautiful, and I have never watched a more queer show in my life, including Queer Eye. Anyway, that's all for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think with a like or a comment or what have you. And if you'd like to stick around and see more of this kind of stuff in the future, feel free to stubs doobie, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!